If his lawmakers find out that they're being treasonous in that manner, that is what happens when you commit treason. And they are actually committing treason by telling U.S. forces to disobey the administration and the government. Conservatives are being attacked by people on the left here today.
Okay. Nathan
Remillard, don't act like you don't know me, because I know you know me. You said earlier you did.
Who are you? I know your name. It's Yankee News. What are the freedoms that matter the most to you?
Me personally, freedom of speech, because I'm a journalist. But again, freedom of speech is being infringed upon in the sense that us conservatives are being attacked by people on the left. We're being murdered in the streets. We're being murdered. We're being attacked for our free speech. Under previous administration, or Biden's administration, we were silenced for certain speech. So Biden was limiting speech. He told his DOJ to they were in cahoots with former X Twitter, telling them to silence posts about the Hunter Biden laptop story. For example, Charlie Kirk was killed by a leftist. So cases like that where the right is being harmed by leftist violence.
I just want to make sure that you're going to keep a consistent narrative here, because you are right. I do think that Biden's DOJ had reached out to the folks over at X, and I think that was proven.
Thank you.
By the Twitter files. But I want to make sure that you're willing to maintain your own consistency, because Donald Trump has reached out to Paramount, telling them that if they want to get an into the Warner Brothers Netflix deal, right, then they have to promise that they'll turn CNN into some further right-leaning source. He also said, right, that perhaps it's maybe illegal to criticize him in the media, and that his FCC chairman by Brendan Carr should start revoking the media licenses of companies that report negatively on him. He quote-unquote said that it's illegal to take a good story and to make it bad. And I mean, this just sounds like very similar rhetoric that you're describing that we heard from the Biden-Harris administration from your own perspective. And I then think that Donald Trump really takes the cake, right, by calling for the execution of Democrats based on what they say. One thing Biden didn't do, one thing Obama didn't do, one thing that, quite frankly, I can't really think of any Democrat that has ever done, serving inside of a position of power like the presidency or Congress, is to directly and intentionally call for the death of one of your political opponents because of something that they've said. Can you give me an example of that?
So what you're saying is different than action. Rhetoric and action are two different things. So you're saying rhetoric spoken by the Trump administration saying Trump says he doesn't like certain medias, that they should be fired. That's completely different than actually silencing creators or Americans.
He said they are traitors, this is seditious, that's punishable by death, then reposted something that said, and I quote, hang them George Washington would.
Okay, repost is different from him saying something. And once again, if they are telling the U.S. sold, it absolutely is.
How so?
Can I continue my point? Because I let you finish. Let's continue the thing of you finish, that's how it goes. So that's how debate goes. Yeah, you're good. So the point I'm trying to make is it's completely different for you to sit here and him for repost something, his rhetoric to say something, and that's not inciting any violence. I'm talking about political violence on the left and the right, and you're trying to compare the two. Action and rhetoric is different. They were calling, Hassan Piker calls, blood in the streets on all capitalists. Charlie Kirk was murdered by a leftist. People on the left were advocating for his murder. People were advocating for more murders of Republicans like him, calling us fascists and Nazis. I don't see them condemning that.
Rhetoric?
I don't see them condemning it, though.
No,
difference.
Because
Everyone's condemning Donald Trump when he comes out and says something.
See, here's the thing, though, because you just got done telling me that there's a difference between action and rhetoric. And the reason why you don't care too much about what Donald Trump has said, directed towards American media outlets, directed towards the Democrats serving in Congress, and you're describing that you don't really care too much because it's not action, it's rhetoric. But then you turn around and then you start criticizing Democrats and people on the left like Hassan Piker, not for what they've done, but for what they've said. I think that's very hypocritical. And what that tells me is that you really only care about dangerous rhetoric when you think it's coming from people on the left, but then as soon as it's coming from the most powerful man alive, the President of the United States of America, Donald J. Trump, you could care less and you write it off. You actually justified it by arguing that he was just truly describing what the punishment for this crime is. It is true.
I said that was condemned.
Or you wouldn't justify it.
No, I'm saying some of the rhetoric that Trump spews has been condemned. In recent light, Rob Reiner, everyone on the right is condemning what he said about Rob Reiner. For one. For two, I'm saying this rhetoric is insightful, which has incited people like Charlie Kirk being assassinated. That is an action. Charlie Kirk was assassinated by a leftist lunatic. That's an action. Okay, I did say an action.
So, right.
Can you agree that was a leftist lunatic who killed Charlie Kirk?
Well, I'm not familiar with his political ideology.
Really?
But what I will say is that, sure, it's probably more likely that they were on the left than the right. I think that's only fair to say, but once again, I'm really not too sure. When Donald Trump called for the execution of those Democrats, do you think that rhetoric could have incited violence against them?
If his lawmakers find out that they're being treasonous in that manner, that is what happens when you commit treason.
If saying that what they did is punishable by death and then retweeted saying hang them isn't rhetoric that could incite violence.
Okay,
Then what
retweeting's
is rhetoric
different.
that could incite violence.
Sure. So again, rhetoric that incites violence is like calling people on the right Nazis and fascists, because the only way to take out Nazis and fascists are to kill them, because they're in so much power that you can't do anything to stop them from taking away your rights or my rights other than fighting back.
So you think that it's more insightful to call somebody a fascist than it would be to say we need to hang?
Absolutely, because it's more insightful. Yeah, it's more insightful in the manner that we're Republicans. We're not actually fascists, and they are actually committing treason by telling U.S. forces to disobey the administration and the government.
Why is it treasonous to tell our military that if our president makes an unlawful order, they don't have to follow it? Be very specific.
Because they are not doing anything unconstitutional on the orders of the president's administration.
That's not true.
Like what? Say something.
Executive Order number 14160 was unconstitutional.
And how is that unconstitutional?
Because it tried to take birthright citizenship away from the children born to undocumented immigrants on American soil when they've had that right guaranteed to them since the ratification of the 14th in 1868.
We're not talking about immigration. We're talking about the military. What is the president or his administration directed them to do that was unconstitutional?
You just said that the administration hasn't done anything unconstitutional. I give you an example.
The direction of the U.S.
scope.
military. I said, what is the president or the U.S. the administration directed the U.S. military to do that was unconstitutional? But you're not even talking about the U.S. military. Spit it out. Spit it out.
Specific response to your question. I do remember this was maybe like 3 or 4 months ago. I think that there was a suggestion by Trump to the National Guard to function as a domestic law enforcement agency to make arrests. Unless there's a declared insurrection, that's in violation of the Posse Comitatus Act of the 19th century. And the if is important because has there been a declared insurrection?
Absolutely not.
Right?
Okay, but you're saying if, but they're not making arrests, are they?
For.
All right.
That's all. Sure, next one. Out of the crosswalk.
Here's what we go.
Okay, but anyways, man, I appreciate you for the